Here's to going even when you don't want to go. So moving forward when you're uncomfortable to stepping up when you're fearful. Here's the courage talking to a friend of mine earlier today. About understanding the difference between two things. On one hand, the fear that presents itself when we're growing, leveling up, right, like we've all felt nerves before a big event or an important life change, things like that. And then on the other hand, the emotions that arise when we start to feel like something isn't right for us. Similar discomfort but not quite the same. We feel nervous or uneasy because we know we're misaligned and where we landed in our conversation. Was that when you were on the edge of that metaphorical cliff and your body's pushing back, your heart's pounding, your mind is racing, you're nervous, you're fearful? The question worth asking is, will I be disappointed in myself if I don't go through with this? Will I be letting myself down here by turning back? You have to jump into the future and imagine future you sitting at the table reflecting on this. If you see yourself as regretful, wishing you pushed through, then it's not an alignment issue, it's a matter of courage. And when you think about it, it usually feels obvious looking back, like I can easily recognize in hindsight the things I stopped doing because they weren't aligned with who I wanted to be. Like when you stop doing the wrong thing, it feels like a breath of fresh air, like a step back to leap forward. Those decisions create a more fulfilled life. But those times I stopped because I let the moment get bigger than my end goal. Those times I caved and decided I didn't want to pay the price solely because of the temporary discomfort. I remember those too. That's a different feeling altogether, a not so good feeling, as we all know. Jim Rohn says it like this: there's a pain of discipline or a pain of regret. Choose your pain. One of the things that makes life challenging is that we have to be open to some level of discomfort in our lives. That's just what it is to be human. Now, our powers that we get to choose where we let that pain in and what it means, what it will do for us. Will it be the type of pain that grows us, or the type of pain that reminds us what could have been? Music. I really think most of the time we stop not because the path was wrong for us, but because we somewhere along the way forgot that most of life's best experiences and circumstances and opportunities come with a hefty price tag. They demand a lot of us, and in those moments when the lights shine the brightest, when we feel the weight of the world coming down on us, it's easy to misdiagnose that discomfort as a stop sign. It's like, oh, I feel alone, I feel unsure, I don't have any validation, my pride hurts, my confidence is shaken. Whatever it may be, these things just, even as I'm saying them out loud now, seem awful when in reality they're just the cost of admission, right? It's like you have to not know before you can ever know. But try telling yourself that as you're wandering around feeling nothing but pressure, right? It's a different story altogether. It's a challenge. But here's the good news: it's a challenge you're capable of handling, of overcoming. Life is about stepping into things we don't feel ready for and then learning repeatedly that we can piece together the knowledge along the way. It reminds us that fear is going to show up regardless of what we do in life. But to grow into the people we are capable of becoming, we have to understand that fear is in its own unique way an invitation. The discomfort doesn't mean something's wrong, often the opposite. It's letting you know that more is available, that you are right where you need to be. Music. But you have to change in order to become worthy of what's on the other side. Life is not saying no, it's merely demanding of you courage. And courage you have. Music. I was thinking this morning about a conversation I had with my grandfather. This particular example. I was living in law at the time. My grandmother, my grandfather, they flew in from Boston, and I think we're doing some family stuff, but I wanted to hang out with my friends down the street, right? I wanted to go to Kyle's house, play Star Wars, whatever it was we were doing, and that felt like the world to me. Like I didn't want to miss out on that because I felt like I'd lose it if I wasn't there. I'd lose something, and I Remember him taking me from the kitchen to the living room being like, Eddie, you have to relax. He's like, that stuff I promise you will always be there. The fun, the escape, the metaphorical going to Kyle's house will always be there. You have to do what's right for you, and then when you need that, it's there. It was almost like all the nuance and the detail is reacquirable. And why I'm bringing this up, and it's a little bit of a pivot, but I've seen throughout my life, right, personally, this sort of lost aversion, like I mentioned a few days ago, where you don't want to leave a bad situation because you fear that the very basic boxes that you've checked, you can't get them back, right? It's like you can have a job that's you're not satisfied, you're unfulfilled, there's nothing great about it, you've lost your sense of self, your purpose. But music, you're getting a paycheck, right? Or you